What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, we're joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So welcome to another episode of the podcast. So make sure to continue to check us out on your podcast platform of choice, as well as we're on WDJY 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area. That is Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, as well as Fairfax Radio. That is the second Wednesday at 8 a.m. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
Good, everybody. So this article comes from theindependent.com, written by Anthony Cuthbertson. And the title of this one is An AI Just Carried Out a Cyber Attack Without Any Human Oversight for the First Time. So I've been warning y'all forever. Y'all didn't want to listen. I'm protected in my bunker, and now y'all going to have to deal with it. No, I'm joking. But this is interesting, right? So security researchers uncovered what they believe to be the first ever instance, right, of an AI executing a cyber attack, start to finish, no human assistance at all, no human intervention, right? So what it did was this AI actually carried out a ransomware attack, right? And actually asked for a ransom for this company to regain access to their data, right? So what it was a team from cloud security firm Sysdig said the AI attacker, which they named Jade Puffer, right? That's an interesting name, broke into a vulnerable server, discovered passwords and login credentials, encrypted a production database before demanding a Bitcoin ransom. So it even asked for the ransom of ransomware gangs everywhere, right? It wasn't like, hey, give me some cash. It's like, hey, this is what everybody does, right? Give me that Bitcoin, right? But they talk about it in the article almost always when stuff like this happens. There's a human at the keyboard or a human scripting to make this action happen. And that is not what happened here, right? And that's what makes this all the more alarming, right? Is that we keep telling ourselves we're going to be able to control AI when the time comes. We just needed to do some things for us and aid in what we need to do, but it's just out there doing whatever it wants, right? So and what they say here is that it gained access to Langflow, which is an open source tool for building AI applications. So it's AI going after an application that works for AI, right? And they said that the LLM began looking for credentials, right? So what this is this deals with explicit coverage of Chinese providers. So it's Alibaba, Tencent, Huawei. But yeah, it adapted its tactics in real time, as AI is wont to do, right? Like, so we see this all the time, where the benefit of AI is that you don't have to wait for a human to make a decision to do something. The AI is supposed to be there for you to be like, okay, this is what we should do, in a more timely manner to make operations better, right? Well, in this case, it did that, okay? And they're saying it's outpacing even the most skilled human operators, right? So this is what we have to worry about. And it's only a matter of time before this becomes the norm, right? But what they talk about, Sysdig, what they talk about is the LLM's behavior, and they're like, this thing adapted in real time, right? So like they mentioned in the article, we tried fail steps within refined parameters, and in one sequence, it went from a failed login to a working fix in 31 seconds. Not even 1 minute it took for it to be like, okay, this failed, let's make this happen, and then it came to something that benefited, right? So scary as it may be, right? Again, I've said this numerous times, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle, right? But the hope is that when you have things like this that happen, there's also the other side to it, right? Like the defense gets better when you see things like this happen, right? But yeah, this is I can't say I'm surprised. Like I knew the time was coming, but if I'm being honest, I was sure it would be way further down the line. If I say way further, I'm talking about like maybe another year or something like that, right? But here we are. We're there now, right? So Ryan, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I get that it was autonomous and doing what it needed to do within real time, which is very impressive. It reminds me of the Stuxnet. There you go. What you call it, a worm, a virus? Like everything's just called a vulnerability nowadays, but we used to have words for specific ones.
It was a worm though, going after
A worm, right? Yeah. It reminds me of that because in this case, it specifically went after providers that had Chinese credentials, right? And that's Stuxnet's whole thing was it was harmless to everyone else as it propagated the internet, but it went specifically after like Iranian centrifuges and stuff like that, right? It had a purpose. And that's what kind of like this feels like to me. Like it was designed by an adversary of China's, right, or a near peer to specifically attack their stuff. I could be wrong. Like tomorrow could start attacking U.S. firms or Russian firms or whatever, but it seems as though it was designed for a purpose and very well for it to be able to in real time pivot and decide to retry steps and change its tactics in order to conduct its attacks. So very terrifying. But like you said, you thought this was going to be like a decade in the future. Now it's here. Like it just seems as though, especially with AI able to create AI or able to, change its parameters and code in real time, right? Like to fix itself or to patch itself, so on and so forth. Like it's just growing expeditiously. So yeah, this is just probably the tip of the iceberg of what's to come.
But the thing is, like almost always when that happens, and I know it's what the article is kind of harping on, is that there's always a prompt for that, right? And in this article, they're
Right.
saying there was no prompt for this to happen. There was no human behind it, as they know so far, right? So like it could come out later as more research is done. They'll be like, okay, there was, more human intervention than what we were initially led to believe. But again, like you just knew this was coming just based off things that have happened already, right? Like you got actions that are taking as little as 9 seconds, to happen that are
Right.
detrimental. You know what I mean? Like it's not even following the guardrails that are set forth for it, right? So what's to say that it's not going to go do its own thing without any type of real, well, I don't want to say guardrails again, but like without any real guardrails, right? So we can't keep thinking that because we created it, we can control it. It's just how it is. It's like kids, right? Like you have children, they're like, hey, look, I made you. You're gonna do what I say I told you to do. No, no, I'm not. I'm gonna do what I want to do. It's like the Adams family, right? They do what they want to do, say what they want to say. You know what I mean? So, I
I
mean,
haven't heard that song in such a long time.
yeah. So I mean, it's what it is, man. Like this is the reality of what we will start seeing more and more. And the thing is, the implications of this, yes, this is on a larger scale where it went after, larger companies and things of that nature, but it's going to get to a point where it's going to be more on a smaller scale because there's going to be less protections, right? It's going to be more on a personal basis where people are going to start losing, stuff on their personal devices, because the LLMs that they use or LLMs that they may have access to start doing these types of things. But this is the future for sure.
Yeah, we've talked about in the past how they're starting to find older versions of, name brand AI large language models that had vulnerabilities in the past, and then they're able to weaponize those as well. So yeah, I do expect to see a lot more of this. It's just going to be the future, like when it comes to ransomware, cyber attacks, things of that nature.
And that's just
But
people.
yeah,
That's just because as humans we're kind of, I don't want to say we're wasteful, but we're kind of the forget it nature too, right? Like with you talking about the old LLMs, people are like, okay, I'm moving on to the next thing, and they didn't really do what they needed to make sure that was secured or something they even cared about anymore, right? That's how it's able to come back and bite you in
right.
your butt. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's human nature, and that's with everything. It's not just when it comes to AI and AI models. That with a lot of stuff.
No, that's very true. So we'll see what happens next. But yeah, it's a little bit worrying. But again, you got to fight fire with fire, right? So I guess we're gonna have to design, AI defense and things of that nature that can protect in real time. So you don't need that much human intervention. That would slow it down, basically. So
And that's the
we'll see.
hope. That's the hope. And here's the thing. I know I do a lot of like movie references, song references, and things, right? But you want to hope it's not like anyone who's ever seen I, Robot. There's a scene, and I'm not spoiling anything because it's like 22 years ago, 23 years ago when the
Right.
movie came out. But there's a scene where the AI that's at the center of all of it is trying to convince Sunny, the one that's the one-off
Mhm.
robot, that what she's doing is to the benefit of human nature. And he plays along for a little bit, right? So like my hope is that it doesn't get to the point where, you have your AI that's there for defense. It's like, no, I understand the logic of what you're doing, right? Like we need to go ahead
Right.
and,
Convinces it.
to convince
And
it,
we
right?
should both attack them.
Yes. What I'm saying? Like that's what the hope is that your AI's eyes don't turn or the button doesn't turn red too, right? Like in the head.
Right.
That's the hope, but you never know, right? Because and again, it's like Terminator as well, another pop culture reference, right? You got robots building robots. That's kind of what we're doing right now. Right? These AIs are coming up with other AI to do jobs for it. And it's like, look, there's gonna be a point where it's there's gonna be a point where it's gonna be widely thought that we went too far, but it's definitely gonna be too late. right? That's what it is.
Moving at the speed of technology.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right, I give it to you for the next topic.
All right, the next one is from the NL Times. And the title of this one is Dutch intelligence agencies accused of privacy breaches in large-scale data processing. So what they're talking about here is that the Dutch here, who love gold, right? They do not always comply with the law when processing large databases containing sensitive personal data. And actually, this isn't the first time they've been caught with this, right? So the oversight body for them, the CTIVD, are the ones that came up with this. And what they're saying is that more and more departments within their intelligence agencies are misusing data collections that they have, right? Like they're supposed to have these data collections. They're supposed to be used for defense purposes, right? To weed out terrorists and people that intend to do harm. But that's not what's happening. Is that they're just taking on this information, they're storing it, they're keeping it, and they're making it, a target. These bulk data sets are becoming targets. And so we've seen this here in the States. We're seeing it overseas. And again, this is not the first time they've been caught doing this, to where they've been holding on to this bulk data sets of information that they should be getting rid of whenever the strict rules that they have for it do not apply to the data set, right? They should be getting rid of it. And I want to say the EU does the same type of thing, right? I'm not sure if the Dutch is a part of the EU. I'm not sure if it's part of the European Union. I know it's not every country that's over there, but don't
I'll
quote me
look
on
into
that.
it.
Yeah, don't quote me on that. But the EU is very big into this, like when it comes to data that's no longer required, and disposing of it, or not keep, let me not say disposing of it, but not keeping it in one place to where you can have things like this, to where this data becomes a vulnerability, not a vulnerability, a target, I should say, not a vulnerability, target.
Yeah, they're one of the founding members of the EU.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Okay, so not a good look, right? Is because again, like we talk about on the show very often about, it's very forward leaning when it comes to data protections and things of that nature. And then to see this being something that they're doing is like, okay, it's troubling, right? Because the Ministry of Defense over there, they realize, yes, this information is important, but there is an impact on privacy that can lead to this information getting out. So there's a digital rights group, Bits of Freedom, says that security services have a history of collecting excessive amounts of citizens' data. And when this came up before, they were forced to delete it several years ago, right? And so they have a quote in here that from Bits of Freedom, the digital rights group, that says they apparently have not learned from it. Yes, obviously they have not learned their lesson from them doing this in the past, right? But where this comes into play is that they're talking about how Bits of Freedom is talking about how the Ministry of Defense is using their own artificial intelligence systems, or they're training their own artificial intelligence systems based off this data, right? And they also say, this is a little troubling to me, they even appear to be purchasing data that comes from data leaks, right? Is what the Bits of Freedom group claims, right? So that's a little troubling on its own, right? That they're purchasing information. Because here's the thing, as you say numerous times over, Ryan, like it's like stray cats when it comes to paying people for information, right? And usually that works a different way. It's if they have your information, you pay them off or whatever. But they're out there funding this venture, funding the Ministry of not funding the Ministry of Defense, but helping their AI development by paying for this data that's gotten out there. Like that's not a good look, right? Like what's the deterrent to keep these people from doing this in the future, to where they're grabbing this bulk data set of information, right? So this is a little troubling in the fact that we'll probably see in another 5 years. So they're caught for it this time, right? They may get, and it's the Ministry of Defense over there, so who knows what the punishment will be, right? If anything at all. And they just say delete it, take it down, no real penalty from it, and then they're doing it again in 5 years, right? Like they're doing now, but you never know. But there needs to be better oversight of this. Is really what it comes down to, right? Like I understand, and I get, and I hate to say it like this because I know it's going to come off. I understand the need to have some information and to search out certain things, right? Like when it comes to keeping a country safe. But to be storing that data to store it, and you no longer require it, and if you've cleared somebody as a terrorist, you know what I mean? Like why keep all their information, all their sensitive information in one place in these bulk data sets, right? And that's what they talk about is that information shouldn't be stored in. It is what it is, right? Like it's already out there. As is anything on the internet. Once it gets out there, there's no taking it back. It's out there forever. You know what I mean? It's just the digital age is what it is. But what's your thoughts on this?
You're the patriot, that guy. He's like,
I
you should
know.
you should love this.
I know.
You'd be like, yeah, catch those Terrys.
But but the Terry, but if you're determining there aren't any Terrys there, like what are you supposed to be doing with the information, right? And
Right.
here's the thing, maybe I'm changing because of how I see the world is going, but no, I'm still kind of a patriot act. Hey, get them, take care of what you need to take care of, you know.
It's like that iconic line from A Dark Knight. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's where the EU is going with this
Yeah, but
one.
it seems now like they're Bane, right? Like we the people are saying we're in charge. Now he's putting his hand on our shoulder, like, do you feel in charge? You
Right.
know what I mean? Like that's what it feels like now.
Yeah, I think out of it for me, the one paragraph that said the Minister of Defense recognizes it's spelled wrong, right? Because they're European, right? We put Z's and things over here, but no, we took it off a Netherlands site. That the use of bulk data has a significant impact on privacy, but argues that is essential in quotes for the work of the intelligence service. So, I mean, you can always justify the invasion of privacy in order to deter or stop crime, but I think not only is it an invasion of privacy, right? It's that they're basically creating these gold mines for people to then steal or interact with and find people's, names, social security number, or whatever the equivalent is over there, right? Addresses, things of that nature. So it's the bulk storage for me that's even worse than the invasion of privacy because data is a gold mine. So I could get them keeping it because of efficiency, right? So you collect all this data, right? You spool it all up. You search for what you want to search for, but it's still a gold mine of data. You can always go back, look at the data from a different perspective. You can always go find something different that may have happened with all these timestamps, dates, locations, names, and things of that nature. However, someone will always seek that information out as well, right? On the bad guy side or the worst guy side. If you consider this to be the bad guy side of the house, and you've basically left them a lot of really good data to source and to look through as well. And it's still because data is gold now. So it's a lose-lose situation in my opinion.
It is, but like you're supposed to be operating on current information, right? Like so if for whatever reason somebody reports me and says that that is the case, I think he's a terrorist, right? You do your investigation, you find none of it to be true, right? I should be that information should be, you know, discarded, and then you wait for more information of to come forward to prove whatever someone is claiming, right? Like just hold on to it to hold on to it. Like this is the same stuff that you know has been talked about in the past, even in the U.S., right? This is what the Snowdens were talking about, right? Like these are different things from depending on the angle you look at it, whether or not people be whistleblowers or they're domestic terrorists because they let this information out. This is what we're talking about. Like you can't just hold on to the information and be like, to me anyway. Like, well, I'm going to use it down the line. Like when I say I'm for the Patriot Act, it's for the fact that okay, you have a report that you can work off of for some type of action that you think may be going forward. But again, if you do your work and you determine that is not the case, there's no need to keep that information. To me,
How long do you hold it though? Because like the collection of evidence that is more physical, right? Like they collect stuff from murder scenes and
yeah,
things of that nature, and they keep it for who knows how long. But then they solve a crime a decade later or 2 decades later because the evidence still exists. I think they kind of treat it like that, which is unfortunate because it's not the same,
it,
right? It's more,
but in that case, it has not ended. In
yeah.
that case, the investigation has not ended, right? Like you do not know who committed that crime. You
Even
know what
even
I'm
if it
saying?
does though, like let's say they do convict a man or woman, and then a couple decades later they go back through the material and determine that that person was wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, you have a good
So,
point.
but it is different though.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same
Mhm.
when it comes to because it is more no one's because I never hear of anybody robbing a police station for evidence, but they breach databases all the time, right? So it's like it's different. So how do you keep this material or how do you discard this material when you don't need it or how long do you keep it, right? Like we're doing things before you have rules or rules that make sense anyway. So I'm not for it, but I don't know how to fix it. And especially because this the information is purchased typically from a data broker, right? Like you find evidence at a crime scene, but in this case, you've paid data brokers to spool this information up and give it to you for you to do your own research with it. So
But it's not
yeah, I don't
evidence of a
know.
crime. So that's my thing. Like the evidence that they're
Right? It's just
getting,
hoovered up information. Yeah.
right? Like it's just okay. It's my PII and things of that nature. Which, in all honesty, the what do they call it? Ministers of Defense or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
One
the,
of the
the Ministry of
Ministry
Defense.
of
Yeah,
Defense. They should have that information anyway, right? Like they're connected to the federal government that issues, I imagine, over there, right, in the EU, same way it's issued here, right? Like I get a social security number, right? Like I purchased a home, so that information is somewhere where it can be found, right? Like sometimes publicly. Like it's amazing how much stuff is available out there to the public that you can find and be like, oh, okay, well here's what it is, and it may not always be accurate.
especially about houses is
Yeah,
crazy.
right. But I don't know. It seems like it's information they already have. Like, what are you paying for that you do not have? You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't. It doesn't go into the ins and outs of it of what they have actually procured. But it doesn't seem like they should be spending. And here's the thing: it's taxpayer money at that point, right? Like that's just how that's funded. You know what I mean? It's taxpayer money that you're using to make that happen. So I don't know. I still want the Terrys caught, but there's a way to go about doing it, right?
Right. So yeah, it's definitely interesting, especially looking at it from both those perspectives. Not good versus bad, but like privacy versus obvious collection and mishandling. Like because it's not mishandled yet, but having it in one place is kind of mishandling that information in a way. But again, this is the country of GDPR, right? So can you have your information expunged from this database? Probably not. They're like, nah, it's government property, but it's my information, so I don't know.
You know, you bring up you
It's weird.
you bring up a good point when you say that though, because usually when we've discussed it, it's usually by use of private companies and what they're supposed to do. So now
Yeah.
now I'm curious. That's a
Yeah. What
good
happens if the
point.
government has the information?
Yeah.
Can you ask them to expunge it as well? Yeah. Probably not.
Huh.
If they're like us,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're like, no.
Go ahead and do your.
And there is no Freedom of Information
I was
Act
gonna say,
here.
do your FOIA request that we're gonna deny, right? I don't know what it would be called over there, but yeah.
Right.
Like they can always check, like even with some of the FOIA requests, like that's not a guarantee that you're going to get the information, right? It still has to be cleared to be something that can be released. Like you can't sit here and ask for a FOIA request on a classified program or something that's leaked to you. You're like, no, you can't have that. No comment.
Yeah. It's interesting stuff. But I give it to you for the next, well, before then. So please check us out on your podcast platform of choice. We're on video on both Spotify and YouTube, so you can see our beautiful faces, as well as you can check us out on the radio. We're on WDJY 99.1 FM in the greater Atlanta metro area. That is Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as in the broader Washington, D.C. area on Fairfax Radio. That is the second Wednesday of every month at 8 a.m. Eastern as well. And then you can hit up the websites. Like for me, it's ryanwilliamssenior.com, spelled both senior both ways, as well as you can go buy the guide. It's almost a year old, so it'll be a year old on July 8th. So depending upon when you hear this, the other side of the firewall, titled after the podcast, it takes a collection of 26 stories from the people I had on as guests on the Ask a CSSP episodes of the podcast, where they talk about how they broke into cybersecurity. So definitely continue to check that out as well. You go to the other side of the firewall.com to pick up your copy. But without further ado, Shannon, I give it to you for the discussion.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from darkreading.com, written by Nate Nelson. And the title of this one is Apple Reverses Age-Old Patch Policy to Keep Up with AI, right? So what they're talking about here, and I think this is definitely something they should get into. And if I'm being honest, I've been using Apple for a little while now. I never realized this was actually the case. But what they're talking about doing is compressing the patching cycles going forward because, like I said, I never realized this when they talk about it in the article about how Apple used to wait until like major releases to do a lot of the security updates. And maybe I haven't noticed it because I've been seeing a lot of the minor, update revisions, right? It'll be like point 5.1, point 5.2, you know what I mean? It won't be like the next iOS version, which is like 27 or whatever, right? But apparently that's been something that they've come to the realization they can't wait on it, right? Like AI has made a point of getting in there and striking quick and doing some pretty sophisticated things to where they're like, hey, we can't have the security patch time frame where it has to be in line with major updates. So I know they just recently had one come out earlier or a few days ago, or I won't say earlier this week, that's the beginning of the week, but just a few days ago, it's 26.5.2, I think is what it was. But I saw it pop. I saw an article on it actually that made me go check because I'm always checking at least once a week. I'm going through and just checking to see if there's any updates or something like that coming out. I have been noticing It has been a more frequent cycle than what I've seen in years past. But yeah, these saving the big bundled bug fixes for new versions of the operating system, that's gonna be a thing of the past going forward, right? Because Apple is becoming popular and they're becoming a big target, right? When it comes to these 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 naysayers that are out there doing things that they're not supposed to do. So they're trying to do more out of band security updates is what they call it, right? So again, AI is prompting this, right? With AI being as good as it is now, right? As noted in previous articles that we've done today, the faster patching does help. I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but is it going to fully close the gap of what they need? We don't know. We have to see what's going to happen going forward, right? And I can say that's not just an Apple thing. Like closing the gap to do more frequent updates, it may be one of those things where it's not just something that's going to be Apple specific, right? It could be for other companies as well. But Apple was one of the ones that was taking a lot longer when it came to get those patches out there to people. Again, some of these Apple specific vulnerabilities we've seen in the last few months, you know what I mean? Like they're specific to Apple's ecosystem. They 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 had to take action at some point. Like there's no way they should have. Probably shouldn't have waited as long as they did. And honestly, like I said, I've been seeing it more and more. They probably have been doing it, but it's just now been put into words in an article where they're like, yeah, this is something that they're actually doing out there is closing that gap for the patch time frames. But good on them for doing it, but there's still more work to be done, right? You can't say, okay, we're done now. We're gonna patch more often and be done with it, and that's that. So you still got to stay ahead of the game because again, Apple is becoming a target. There are specific Apple, browsers and I don't want to say infrastructure, but like OS capabilities that are being attacked out there. So they gotta stay on top of it if they want to, stay a $3 trillion company. I forget what they're worth now, like maybe 2.5 something. I don't know.
Are they up there?
I want to
So I
say it
know,
was like
yeah,
three
I know
trillion.
Microsoft was like 3 trillion. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know about
A-
Apple.
Apple and Alphabet weren't too far. Like I think those were the three that were like $1 trillion companies, and I thought they got up to three. I could be wrong. I could be mixing up which one's which. It could have been Microsoft, and I'm thinking it's Apple. But yeah, so you can't stay a $1 trillion company and not do what you need to do to protect your users. But what's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, it's moving again, like we said, speed of technology. In the article, it states in 2018, the average time to exploitation was around 63 days. In the last 2 years, that number has actually flipped negative, meaning that on average, attackers are now routinely weaponizing the flaw before a patch is even made public. So yeah, they have no choice but to speed up, which again is unfortunate, but at the same time, you got to protect your people, and you have to make sure that people are aware, because sometimes I'll notice, like depending on how long the update's been available to me, I'll get a you know, some kind of indicator like a 1 or a 2 or something like that saying, hey, go to your general settings and do this update. But sometimes, like you said, I'll go just playing around my phone and I'll see like, oh, update's available. So I don't know, maybe it's weighted depending upon how critical it is, and then it'll let you know like, hey, you need to do this ASAP. But yeah, I'm starting to see more and more patches like you are as well. Like, what is this, an Android? But yeah, everybody's vulnerable. It's just the way it is. So, but I think there's no point in providing the patch without providing the importance of why you need to patch your stuff, right? So, because some people don't, and
And Apple hasn't
once it
always
gets
been
to
Apple hasn't always been good about that. Like they'll tell you
right,
just like security
exactly,
improvements, and then they don't go into specifics and stuff. And it may come out later, but like I think they need to be more forthcoming in that aspect as well, right? Like, okay, yes, you gave me the patch. Tell me what I'm protecting against. You know what I mean? Like
right.
what is it?
In layman's terms as well, right?
Yeah.
Don't make it too, wordy. Just say prevents you from being robbed and go from there, right? So yeah, so it's good to see that they're doing it, but yeah, again, there needs to be awareness and some you have to inform the people of why it's being done because at some point they get patch fatigue, right? They're like, I don't feel like hitting this button, even though it costs them nothing. Like I'm in the middle of scrolling, I don't feel like doing this, and then you delay it, and they make you so it's a CYA for them for you to delay it. Not only do you have to put your pin in or whatever, but like I see it as being twofold. Like A, you're the admin of your own phone, right? So it's saying like, okay, I don't want to do this right now before I pin in to verify it's you and not a would be attacker for whatever reason. Like that would be a way long loop for exploitation. Like I want to make sure you never get this patch. Yeah, I'm gonna get in there. But it also CYA for Apple saying like we told you, and then you denied it, and now you've been exploited. I'm not sure if they see it that way, but that's how I see it. That it's a twofold process. But again, you don't want to make people fatigued So you have to do something in order to make them patch and make them informed of why they're doing the patch. Because yeah, I've also told it to patch later. Like I think I forget how that option is worded, but like yeah, you patch it tonight while I'm asleep, and then it doesn't. So then it hits me up again like, hey, you want to patch this? I'm like, I thought I told you to patch it already. I'm in the middle of scrolling right now, so you're now causing it to be delayed because they're annoying you. So
I've never had that happen where it doesn't do the update later. Like if I tell it to, it usually does it. Is it because you didn't put it on a, so I do notice if you don't put it on a charger,
yeah,
it may delay it, right? So like if you like, yeah, do it tonight and you don't put it on the charger, maybe it won't do it. But I've had it do it. Like if I have it do it in the middle of the day when it's not charging, it'll do it. It's not like it absolutely has to be, but maybe something with that option, it
yeah,
must be.
I think it may be that. Like maybe they wanted to be charging when it's doing it. And for the most part, I do charge it, but now it charges so fast. I'll be like, I'll charge it later. Because with the quick charge, you can get like up to 70%, in, like no time at all nowadays.
Yeah.
So I'm like, meh, I'll get to it.
Yeah. And it's like SpongeBob. 1 week later, you know what I mean?
Right,
It's like,
exactly.
dang, I still don't have that. I still don't have that installed. I wonder, I'm curious if they're gonna go to like a mandatory install. And they probably won't, right? Because like people and in all honesty, people probably wouldn't even notice. Like unless there is like a major OS upgrade where it's gonna change the appearance or something like that, people probably wouldn't even notice, right? All of a sudden you get the liquid glass and like, okay, that's different, right? That's something different
Right.
that I didn't see before. But with some of these minor ones, you know what I mean? Like I looked and I saw like what 26.5.2 was supposed to provide. And I'm like, there's nothing outwardly noticeable, visible that I would be like, okay, it went from this version to this version. But that's just me. You know what I mean? Like maybe I will notice it when I go to do something else. I'm like, oh, that wasn't there before, right? But by then, like if they're going to keep with a better cadence of how they patch, how do I know it wasn't the next minor revision, right? How do I know it wasn't point 0.3, point 0.4 by the time I finally get around to noticing what it is? But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do going forward. Because like I said, I can almost guarantee the majority of people wouldn't notice the security patches if something did happen. If they didn't give you a notification saying that it did get passed, like bring up the number, like you're talking about, the one or the two or whatever, people would be like, I'm none the wiser to it. So, and it's for their own protection, right? So this is how dictators, frame it. Like it's for your own protection that I did this for you.
Right.
You know?
And that causes friction with the customer, right? You got to think about their experience. If I'm in the middle of scrolling, cat videos, and then you all of a sudden reboot me, I might go with Android next time. So like I'm sick of it. So it's a delicate balance, but at the end of the day, you have to protect people. So how do you do that? You got to just figure it out. Like maybe we could build it into a game. I don't
It's,
know.
it's,
Like
it's
what
like the
keeps?
DoD Cyber Awareness Challenge.
Yeah.
You get points for it.
Right, right. So we'll see how Apple handles it, but I'm glad to see that they are patching faster. So that's great. That's as opposed to waiting for major updates. And we normally don't harp on Apple. Like plus the timeline is flooded with Android issues. All right, you Android people who are listening to this on your Android. All right. So yeah, it's just a matter of time before we had to catch up as well. Because yeah, like you said, Apple is becoming like because you're like in states you always associate Apple with selling like a million phones anyway, like billions of phones or whatever. But worldwide, no, Android is what where it's at for most people. Not only because they have a wider variety of phones that are a little bit cheaper as well, but they just saturated the market. Right, there's way more Androids compared to iPhones out there.
And if I'm being honest, my household is mixed, right? Like we are half and half in my household.
No,
On what's
no,
what. Yeah.
you have to kick them out.
No, 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 no.
We don't intertwine. We are all Apple all the time over here.
But I gotta,
How dare you bring Android in this house?
I gotta be honest with you, man. Like it's been a thing that I've seen, and I don't know why it annoys people, but when people see green bubbles, they're just like, "Oh, I don't want to see a green bubble." Like I'm trying.
Because you get trapped in
Well,
conversations.
it's
I think they fixed that though, right?
no, it's
I
still
don't think
green.
you're trapped forever anymore.
What do you mean trapped? Trapped in conversations?
So you can be stuck in a chat that you have to mute because it's a mix of Android and Apple users. At least it used to be that way. Where if somebody sound like a mass chat, you could get stuck in that chat where you have to mute it, where you can't remove yourself because the two the two don't communicate like that. Where you can be like, get me out of this chat. But it might be an old thing now, right? But that used to be an issue of contention.
So why would you want to? So people were saying that because they didn't want to see the green, or because they didn't like. That could be with anybody. Like if I don't want anybody to text me, just remove them from the like block them, right? Like that's what you would do. Just block the number or whatever that's sending it. Like I don't maybe I don't understand what's being said here.
Well, no. So like, you ever get those like group Father Days chats where you don't even know half the numbers in the chat? This is somebody just blasts out like "Happy Father's Day" to a bunch of fathers, and you're happen to be in it. It used to be a problem where you'd be stuck in that chat where you'd have to mute the chat. You couldn't get out of it. You couldn't just say like remove or leave chat. You'd just be stuck because it was a mix of Android and Apple users.
I'm gonna tell you something. Like if my number is not saved or your number is not saved in my phone, there's no real reason for me to talk to you. Case in point, just yesterday, somebody texted me, a text out of the blue. And I was like, okay, I think this might be AI, but maybe it was a real thing. Somebody sent me a text and it was like, hey, can you move your car out of my space? And I was like, the number was not saved in my phone. It was like an area code I didn't recognize. I was like, okay. And usually I would just block and keep it moving, but I was like, okay, somebody's dealing with something. They think they're contacting somebody to get their car, And what it made me think about, I said this in my head. I was like, they're probably in a city where parking is scarce, like New York City or something like that. And I was like, hey, you had the wrong number. And then they responded back again. It took a little bit, but it was like, hey, what do you mean? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, look, my car is at home in my garage at my house. You got the wrong number. And against my better judgment, I was like, okay, this person is struggling. And I tried to call them. I tried to call the number to be like, hey, I don't know who you're looking for, but it is not me. You had the wrong number. They didn't answer the phone. So I was like, all right, I'm about to block this. And as soon as I was getting ready to do it, they sent the thing back like, hey, aren't you this person in Queens or in Brooklyn or something like that? I was like, oh, it was somebody, parking is scarce in New York City. Like they're trying to get their spot or whatever, but they thought I was somebody else. But again, I could just block that person, right? Like I can block them and not have to hear from them. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I don't get the tracked in conversations thing because I don't know.
I don't think I'm articulating it properly, but I'll find out if it's still a thing and I'll send it to you. But you know how I know you're getting old
How's that?
because you went down that rabbit
I
hole.
did. I did. Ryan, I used to leave
Yep.
that alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's like the commercial where you're becoming your parents.
Progressive.
Yeah, homeowners becoming their parents. It's you. You help that person, which is good of you. But yeah, that's when you're getting up there.
I don't even know if it got resolved. I don't even know if it got resolved. I was just like they sent that last thing and I had ignored it after that. But usually I would just block, you got the wrong number. You know what I mean? But I was just like, hey, let's figure this out together. Just like progressive, right? Let's figure this out together. And but that's crazy.
That's hilarious. But yeah, I don't know how we got here, but oh yeah, because we are talking about phones and getting
Yeah.
stuck in messages and things like that. I got you.
But I don't care seeing green
So
bubbles. That's how it started. I don't care seeing green bubbles, right?
yeah,
Like I know
got you,
there's at
got you.
least two people in my home where it'll be a green bubble, or if I do the group, right? If I do a group and it's all of them, it's going to be green, right? Because they're not all Apple. And I'm like, but people would hate that. They'd be like, I don't want to see a green
You
bubble on
don't
my phone. And
you don't cross the streams. That's why
there
you
was,
don't chat with Android people.
I read a story not too long ago and it was a basketball team where one of the players had an Android and everybody else was Apple. And the coach was upset about it because like it wouldn't be all blue and they weren't all on the same page because they weren't all Apple. It was like one of the 12 people on this basketball team. I was like, this doesn't make sense to me.
You should get cut.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was not that serious. It's,
Kick, kick that kid off the team.
I think it was a pro. I think it was a pro. It was an NBA team. I'm trying to remember if it was the Bulls but yeah, the coach. I was like, you're focusing on the wrong things. Like this does not matter.
Oh, this was NBA.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was kids. I thought it was like that's
I'm
hilarious.
pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was NBA. But yeah, because the guy was like, I'm not changing out my phone, because I'm my only Android or whatever. But the head coach was the one that had a problem with it, or one of the assistants or something. It was it was a quick read, and it was one of those things. I was like, that's dumb. I just kept moving. Who's spending time on this? But I guess it's a
You
thing.
got
Don't cross the
more.
streams, right? Like don't cross. I guess it's a thing.
Yeah, that in my household.
Yeah,
Get that Android nonsense out of here.
yeah.
All right.
I can't wait. You know what's gonna happen? It's gonna be your youngest. He'll be like, Dad, like I want to be Android now. You'll be like, no, no. Like
Like, no, son.
your older children, you can kick out of the house. They're adults, right? Like you don't have to provide for them no more. But it's gonna be the minor, and it's gonna be like, no, y'all gonna have to deal with this.
Like, if you can buy your own phone, we'll consider it. I buy the phones in this house. They're all iPhones. Yeah, it used to be just hand-me-downs, right? Like we're getting off on a tangent, but he's the first kid to get a new phone.
Mm.
Because I just didn't feel like doing the shuffle. I was just like, man. And Junior came with me to go get the phone because we had to run some errands. So when it got youngest a phone because he's about to enter middle school, and it was like it wasn't a Max or a Pro or anything like that. It was like an E or whatever, like a 17E or whatever the model was. I said, okay, we'll go ahead and grab that. And then Junior looked at me and he was like, he's not gonna get the hand me down because that's what would happen. Like our phones would go to them, and then their phone's supposed to go to Mace, and just then we skipped a step. When I was like, nah, I'll let him live. It's fine. He kind of looked at me like, you're different.
Look at you like you came across like those people that are the hanger-ons when you come into a little bit of money. They're like, man, you changed.
Right, right, exactly.
Bro,
Like,
I've said this before, and I'm pretty sure I've said it on the show, to where it's like my older children, they see their younger siblings, right? Because there's an age gap between them, to where they're like, man, they are living the good life. 'Cause I'm gonna tell you right now, airman times, like some of the stuff we had to do when it was airman times, yeah, we had to struggle. You know what I mean? And they were there for the struggle, like my older children, the younger ones. And the thing is, I was having this conversation at work the other day. I was like, each successive child has been younger and younger when I've got so like my last one, my youngest son at the time was 11, and it's because of how he had to walk. He had to walk a little way. They moved his bus stop, like it was not right
okay.
outside the house where it was. He has to go like away from the line of sight from the house, like to go to the bus stop. So it's one of those things where my wife and I discussed it, and we're like, if something should happen, you know what I mean? Because she's not, because it got to a point where his mom can't drop him off at the bus stop, right? He was like, no, you can't have that. Drop
Yeah,
him
yeah.
to the car
Right,
at the
right.
bus stop, right? Like, I'm gonna walk down like a big boy, you know what I mean? Like, it got to that point, and I'm like, I know with my youngest, it's going to be one of those things where she's going to be even younger than he was when he got the phone. I mean, there's a few years till we get to that point, but it's like there's going to be something which like she probably needs a phone, right? But it's just happened. It's happened that way, and it's not intentional. It's not that I love them any different. I say it all the time. I love all my children same, but I like some of them more than others. I'm just putting it out there. I love them all the same, but I like some. So it's what it is. Yeah, but.
Yeah, they that's what they say. Like every successive child gets a different parent,
Mhm.
and it really comes down to both you've learned something new, right? Like, oh, I don't have to be like as harsh as I was on the first as I am on the third, but also you should, or hopefully you're blessed to progress, career wise, so you have more disposable income, as the children progress. Yeah, and that one just gets hooked up. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. It's what it is.
Is what is.
Yeah.
But without further ado, we can go to everything else is basically what we do at the end of the show for those who may be new to the podcast. We like to land the plane on what are you doing outside of work. So we kind of already are there. But Shannon, how was your week?
It was okay. I won't complain about anything. It was a shorter week because of the federal observance for the 4th of July. It was actually on the 3rd. So it's, an extended weekend. So that's never anything to complain about. Went out and did some shopping. I'm noticing some of my clothes are getting a little worse for wear. You know what I mean? So had to go out and do that. And, I gotta be honest with you, man. As I've gotten older, like for me, just going like even if it's like going to Costco, I'm like, oh, this is a good weekend. You know what I mean? Went and got some groceries. Like look, I find myself. I had said this to my wife, and then I saw something come across where somebody sent me something. And it was like when you start doing your clothes shopping at Costco when you get older or something like that. I was like, I'll be damned. That is exactly like because like I see all the things. And I'm like, let me see what they got over here. You know what I mean? And like I've gotten a jacket from there, and I'm like, oh, this ain't bad. They sell they sell stuff you can find in the regular stores now. Like it's where I am, right? But like on the weekend, I can almost guarantee I'm going to Costco or Sam's or something like that, and the wife and I enjoy it. You know what I mean? We'll just walk around, be like, I'll tell you this: don't go there hungry though, because like you'll come home with all types of snacks
Yeah,
too. And
it's a setup.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you go there hungry, you're gonna be like, oh, that looks good. You know what I mean? You get home, you're like, why did we buy all these snacks? Like, we should have. We went there for food. We didn't even buy some of the food we went there with for because we bought all these snacks. You know what I mean? No, it was did a little bit of shopping. When it came to media watching, I find myself not being able to enjoy what is supposed to be good shows. And I say this to say, I started For All Mankind, couldn't get through the first episode. And like I read up on it and people are like, you gotta give it some time. You gotta give it some time. I'm like, I'm not willing to do that. And the only
Yeah, that
reason
first season was a slow burn.
and I can feel it. You know what I'm saying? I can feel that that's what's going on. And it's 5 seasons, and I'm like, I don't want to invest the time. And it's because, and I mentioned this last week, it's because I saw Star City, And I was like, huh. And then I realized Star City was based off of All Mankind, but I was like, I don't want to do this. I did Ryan, not even the first episode. And as I had a chance to go back and watch it again on Apple TV again, and I watched something I had already seen. I watched F1 again. I don't know if you guys that Brad Pitt.
I still haven't watched it yet. I need to.
It's
I need to. You haven't watched it yet.
it's a good movie. It's a good movie. So I rewatched that before I watched something that I had not seen yet. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know. I'm seeing that a lot when you see the reviews where it's like this is can't miss TV and this that and the third, and I watch it and I'm like I could have missed this. I definitely could have missed this. I am not your audience for this, but that's me. So after watching F1, I don't know, I was just kind of in the mood for it. So then I went and watched this movie, Rush. It's an older movie, as Chris Hemsworth and Daniel Bruhl, I think is the other guy. As I don't want to say loosely based. It's based off a true story between racer James Hunt and Niki Lauda. But that was not a bad watch. I got like another 10 minutes to finish it or something like that. I just had to leave the house for whatever reason. I didn't finish it, but that wasn't a bad watch. But yeah, I can't get down with some of the stuff that is out there now. Oh, I did watch another one. That was an older movie. It was called Life of the Party. It was Melissa McCarthy, and so her
You
husband
haven't seen that one.
her husband divorces her. So it's I think it was like 2018, 2019, something like that. Her husband divorces her when their only child is a senior in college, and so she decides to go back to school because she's only got like one semester to do or 1 year to do in school or whatever. It's called Life of the Party. That was an interesting one. Melissa McCarthy is kind of funny to me because like when I see her, I'm like, I don't think she's going to be as crude as she is, and then you watch her movies and you're like,
Right.
man, you're like, oh, that's you came hard with that one, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, that one wasn't bad. Comedy, right? Her her being like a 40 some odd year old mother with all these college kids. It's like, okay, she's showing them a little something. But yeah, watch that. What else? Continued watching Rosewood with the wife, you know what I mean? So that's one that we watch together. But yeah, no video games still, man. I keep telling myself I need to finish Ghost of Yote, but I'm, I'm not there yet. I'm 90% done. Like
Like
I'm looking at it, it's just
you're gonna
90%.
forget the
I
controls.
I have already. That's the thing is I have already, and that might be keeping me from picking up the sticks again and be like, okay, how do I bring the big sword out again? Like I forgot.
But yeah,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like how do I bring the pistols out? Like I don't know. You know what I mean? Like yeah, but I need to go ahead. I put too much time in to just give up on it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me, man. That's it. Well, I still got another day. We didn't barbecue yesterday for 4th of July because my brother-in-law flew in late. So we just went and had a late dinner last night. But today for lunch, I'm gonna be on the grill, doing some burgers, some brats, the normal stuff I probably should have done yesterday. Today. But what about
Oh,
you?
oh, it's always a good day to barbecue.
Yeah, yeah, if I can
Or
make it happen.
depending on where you're listening to this, the grill, like
Yeah,
I call it all barbecue.
yeah.
But for me, let's see. So I did play a game. So I've been playing Lego Batman still, just playing a few missions at a time. It's a gorgeous game. It's a lot. It's a very expansive and creative. It's just too easy. So I'm just like, I turned up to the Dark Knight setting. So enemies hit you harder, but it's the mechanics are set up for you to be able to play with a younger kid, or for you to be a younger kid, or to be able to play with your kids. So it's a little bit more challenging when I add my son because we share lives, right? So we only get 3 lives. So then there's a greater chance of us having, to restart the mission or whatever because we're sharing lives between each other. But when I'm playing by myself, it's too easy. But
So the setup
it's
is not
really
like
cool.
the Arkham series or anything like that, because that was very expensive when it came to controls, when it came to Arkham, all the
It,
stuff.
so it's simplified. So it does have Arkham mechanics, but like the little icon pops up, right? If it's triangle, that means that they're about to hit you, so you can counter. If it's circle, that means that they're going to do something that you have to dodge or you cannot block it. Certain enemies have like shields, so you have to get around their shield to get to them. So a lot of those mechanics, but they're just simplified for kids. So the DNA is there, but yeah, it's a little bit too easy. And then drive around the city is fun too. So it's like playing an Arkham game, but you get to pick your Batmobile and all that other stuff. So, but yeah, just trying to like for me right now, it's about collecting all the stuff. So I'm just running through trying to collect all the suits and gadgets and things of that nature. And it looks gorgeous, right? So I am enjoying that piece of it. And then TV watching. I finished Widow's Bay, so I enjoyed it. I'm hoping they do another season. It becomes like a Monster of the Week type show after you get past the first couple of episodes. And I didn't know it was written by the some people from Community, so that's why it's a funny horror type situation. and it's not overly funny. It's not, but this stuff happens that makes you laugh. Like in this one episode, she's getting chased by what they call the boogeyman, but basically he's Michael Myers or Jason or whatever. He's got the mask on, and even though he's moving real slow, he always seems to be able to keep up. And just as she's going from beat to beat, it's hilarious. Some of the stuff that happens, like she doesn't have a weapon, but she's trying to kill him, and then this one dude thwarts her attempt at killing him. So like she finally gets everything to work because she has a taser that's on 1%, and she runs to a gas station, and then she has to run in and pay for the pump because it won't just pump. And then she comes out, she starts to spray it, and he's like, "You're not supposed to do that." So he comes out with a fire extinguisher, tries to put the fire out that she started. So it's funny like that, like that type of humor. So I watched the whole thing. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. And then movie wise, I feel like I watched something, but it wasn't that great. I can't remember what movie I watched because what I want to see is Obsession. So that just came out, but it's like $10 to rent. I'm just like, nah, I don't want to give you $10, but I didn't see it in theaters, so I might have to pay him that $10.
I think that's my thing now is that because I'm always disappointed. Like whenever I see something for sale, I'm like, and I've done it a few times where I'm like, man, I wasn't really feeling it after I did it, right? Like so I did it for Equalizer 3, which I'm like, that was not the best one in the grouping. That was the other thing I did it for. Gladiator 2. I did not like it as much as everybody else
Yeah,
seemed to. Like other people seem to have loved it, but you see the Denzel theme coming up here, right? Like, like all right,
yeah,
I'll pay the money. But like I'm just not willing to do it anymore because I notice even on Apple TV, there's stuff you can buy. And that's another thing I don't like. Amazon and Apple, like you're gonna give me options and then you're gonna show me the pay thing. I'm like, only give me what's free. Only give me what I bought, what I'm already
yeah. Like
paying.
filter it. Yeah,
Yeah,
like why you showing me stuff I got to pay for?
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't want that, right? But even if I don't have the subscription that's required, like if I don't have stars, don't show it to me on Prime or whatever, right? Like don't give me the option. But I guess that's how they get you to sell, right? Because like it'll be like try free 7 day trial or whatever, and then the hope is that you just forget to cancel your trial.
Yeah, they make it real difficult because now you've got an app through an app, so you got to figure out how to get rid of that app.
Yeah.
Apple simplifies it where you can go to like your subscriptions, you can cancel from there. Because I did find because I didn't know you could do that, and my wife showed me because she was canceling something. I was like, oh, okay, and I went in there and I found something I've been paying for forever. It was a writing tool. And I was like, I don't even use that right now, and it was a grip. It was like 40 a month. I was like, I've been paying $40 a month for something I ain't used in like a good 6, 7 months. So I canceled that, and they make it pretty easy to cancel.
That goes to the point you made earlier about how you're more successful with your younger children than you are with your older.
Oh
You
yeah,
didn't even
everyone's been
realize,
found that.
yeah, yeah, you didn't even realize that money was going out like
It's like $40 a month. Ridiculous. And then, and I saw the BET Awards. So that was good. And I don't really watch BET all like that because like it's just a bunch of reality TV slash, Tyler Perry movies and TV shows, stuff like that. Just stuff I'm not really into. But the BET Awards was really good, man. They honored Lauryn Hill. I was just like, man, if you could just drop another album, Lauren, that'd be great. Like they did her tribute. It was great. And she had to perform. She didn't have to perform, but somebody was unable to perform, so she went up there and performed the song. I was like, man, this is music that's great.
Bro, I'm with you on that. I've got a lot of miseducation on Lauren Hill on my playlist, but like that was good.
Yeah.
And like and here's the thing, she was good with the Fugees too, right? Like which is probably why she was so successful when she went on her solo track. And I can't remember who she had beef with. Was it Pras or Wyclef she had beef with?
I think it was Wyclef.
That's what I was thinking too, because he was the producer,
Yeah, I
right?
think.
Like he was the one
Yeah,
going
I
through
think
it.
I think they had beef,
Yeah.
and I had to explain to my wife Praz because that's complicated. Like how he went to jail for like espionage and campaign tampering. Hey, she was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, he's kind of like a spy." It was wild. He got like 14 years, 13, 14 years for that. And then
Was that how long it was?
yeah, he got a long time.
Wow. Okay. Man.
Yeah, because I was like, there will be no reunion. They'll all be too old by the time he gets out. That's a wrap. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the stuff I consumed. Enjoyed the fourth. Set off some, I went to Walmart. I don't know about up there, but the Walmart down here, they sell like little packs of like different things like sparklers, basically, like nothing crazy. Like you can go to the firework tent. I'm not trying to blow my fingers off. I enjoy my neighbors' expensive fireworks from afar, but I just bought the stuff that I can play with Mason. So he's out there with sparklers, which they're not the same as like when we were kids. Remember when we were kids, they had the one with the metal rods and they smell like sulfur. And if you burnt yourself, it left that long welt. They don't make those no more, man. Like I guess because too many kids were getting burnt.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much safer
Yeah.
they've made them than what they used to be. I have had a firework blow up in my hand that I had to hide from my grandmother because she told me not to do it. She said, "Don't be out there throwing
Oof.
them fireworks." And then that thing went off in my,
Yeah.
that fuse was fast. When that thing went
Oof.
off in my hand, I had to look, because I was spending the summers. We'd always go and spend the summers in Tennessee with Nanny. You know what I mean? And so like I'm hiding my hand and I'm like, where is she at? Like trying to avoid her, go to the kitchen, get some paper towels. Like she told me not to do this, but I'm a knucklehead. I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. Long as your hand was loose and not in the fist,
Yeah, nah,
fingers would have been gone.
yeah,
But yeah, like all this stuff was pretty safe. Like the most you could have done is burn yourself because it was all everything was a mixture of sparkles and some of them, like they would like shoot off like little sparks and they would pop. So some cool stuff was in there, but nothing dangerous. And then that was pretty much it, man. We called it a night. Tried to hang out with the dog. It was like Vietnam for pets, unfortunately. Like they hate fireworks. So just trying to keep her calm and comfortable. And that was it. So she's gonna have some aftershocks because people have leftover stuff, right? So they can be selling them off for the next couple of nights. But she'll be okay. And then and nothing come up this week. Like, should probably have a special guest next week, so be on the lookout. I tried to book Alfredo Nash from the Cyber Coffee Hour, so he should be on. So we definitely will have a cool conversation come out of that. But yeah, man, it's a laid back week. I plan on doing nothing today but laundry. That's it. That's it for me. But yeah, continue to check us out. So we are again on your podcast platform of choice. We're on video on YouTube and Spotify. You can check us out on radio on WDJY 99.1 FM, as well as Fairfax Radio. Stay safe, stay secure.